everyone, welcome to Nicole's Needlework. Today is Saturday, November 9th, and it's right around 1 p.m. This is a podcast about stitching and knitting, and I'm coming to you right outside of Charleston, South Carolina. I often forget to mention that to any new viewers I may have to my channel. So I usually don't have a lot of knitting. It's mainly stitching, and it's mainly samplers. I love samplers, especially reproduction samplers. So I do have a finish back from the framer that I will share. And this is, sorry for the glare, Caroline Broomhead 1838 by Plum Street Antiques. And this is stitched on 36 count Ligonier Latte by R&R in a variety of silk threads, which all can be found, my conversion can be found on my blog, which is nicolesneedlework.com. Again, sorry for that glare. So I usually just frame with regular glass, not museum, just regular. I keep it out of sunlight, or out of direct sunlight, I should say. And it's been fine. I love this frame. It's got a little kind of antique-y quality to it. I think it turned out really nice. And I got this done at the Stitch and Frame in Rock Hill, South Carolina. And while I was there, I dropped off two other pieces. I finished Elizabeth Hunter by the Scarlet House, so I dropped that one off. And I also dropped off Sarah Red Fern by the Scarlet House. So two Scarlet Houses I dropped off, and they should be ready sometime in December. So what I've been working on, mainly since I did my last podcast, let's see, it was beginning of October. So finished Elizabeth Hunter, and then I worked a little bit on Mary Betchel, and then got out Anne Rayner. So, okay, sorry about that. I couldn't find it, but I finally found it. And Ginger's in here, but she's acting a little crazy. She wants to be... I have some yarn and stuff over here. She wants to be right on top of it. She likes to lick it and lay on it and snuggle it. I don't know. It's really weird. She must smell the sheep in the yarn. Okay, so Mary Betchel. I worked just a little bit on this. I've got all the border finished, and it's 3 rows of border. So it took a little time, and then I got a little bit of the bottom part of the flowers done. And this is so pretty. I love the colors in this. I love the red. It's just really pretty. And this is all, here's the pattern again. And this is by the Scarlet House, Mary Betchel, 1810. And this is all Belsois. And this red is so pretty. It's Tulip by Belsois. And a lot of my Belsois is older from when it was Crescent Colors. I do have some newer in here. Like, here's one. And there's a little bit of a difference in how they feel, but still just as pretty. The only thing I don't have is the white is a NPI. And this is vintage. It was labeled as vintage exemplar, but it looks more like vintage sand dune. I like Seiden's. And then I do have, making sure she's being good, Plum Street Samplers Tired Trio, and I worked a little bit on this. I've got one of the little sloths finished, and I need to hurry up and get it finished because my friend, her daughter is going to have baby in December. So I want to get it finished for her. Shouldn't take too long. So I also worked just a tiny bit on Alice Sarah Dennis. I don't have a lot more to show on this. I think I just worked on the border a little bit more on the bottom here. Just did a couple of these leaves down here. And this is on 40 Count Precious Metals by Silk Weaver. It's really pretty linen. And I'm using, I did my own conversion to needlepoint ink silks. Not a lot done on that. I will get back to that. I also worked on, I decided to get back out Anne Rayner by Threads Through Time. And unfortunately this pattern is out of print, and I've already loaned this one out after I'm done. So, and it looks a lot like Needlework Presses Sarah Stewart Hardman. So I actually ordered that one recently from 123 Stitch, and it should be here next week. So it'd be fun to do a companion piece to this one. And for this one, I am using a variety of silk threads, and I'm using mainly Paulette's conversion. Paulette Stewart, Plum Street Samplers. She has them all listed on her blog. And there's Belsois, Gloriana, Thread Gatherer, and some needlepoint ink silks. The only change I made is she uses Belsois Wheatgrass, and I'm using MPI 693. And that's the only difference. But these silks are so pretty. And I really had a lot of them already in my stash. I just had to buy a few. So that's one nice thing about having a little bit of a stash. And so, where did I put it? So I've really worked on this a lot the last couple weeks, or a few weeks, and this is where I'm at. And this is 40 Count Vintage Light Exemplar by Lakeside Linens. And I had started this during Mania of 2017 and just kind of put it away and finally got it back out. That red is Sister Scarlet, and I've been told it's the new dye lot is much pinker now. And you could use Tulip or Cranberry by Belsois. It would be just as pretty. So this woman, her body and face and everything is all over one, and I decided I was going to do full stitches on 40 count, which is not easy. So unfortunately I had to rip out a section of her arm because I used the light blue. This over here looks white, but it's actually a very light blue in the house. So I had to rip that out, and then a section of her arm, I kept getting that blue from her dress mixed in with the thread. So I ripped all that out and cleaned it up, and it looks much better. And then all these, so there's big sheep and little sheep. So there's over one sheep down here. So I'm kind of working, I can only handle so much over one on 40 count. So I just do like one a week, one over one section a week. And I use my, I have a magnifier with a light downstairs. So I use that with my magnifying glasses to work on that over one. But I'm loving it. I'm really hoping to get it finished. So my husband is up in DC again, and he's going to be working up there for a few months. So I've been getting a lot of stitching done, but I do hope to make some trips up there soon. Fortunately, holidays, and my 17-year-old is learning to drive, so I'm having to take him to driving lessons, and I don't know. It's a difficult time for him to be gone, but we're making it work, taking it a day at a time. So that's all we can do. So that has been fun to work on. So I've been working on this quite a bit, just that, and Rainer. And the other day, I finally got some threads I had on back order with 1, 2, 3 stitch. And they were for this Ragamuffin No. 2 Quaker Sampler by Shakespeare's Peddler. So what I had on back order was this Gloriana Floramel. And it's antique black. And I was just going to use regular black, but as you can see, there's some neat variegation in there. So I decided to go with what Teresa used. So when I got those threads, I couldn't resist starting a little bit on this. And I've had the linen set aside for it. And there it is, just teeny tiny little start. And this is 40 count vintage light exemplar. And I'm using all the called for silk threads. So there's Gloriana and NPI and a Vera Soie d'Alger. Very pretty. Whoops. So I told Matthew, my youngest, I said, just go through my whip box and pick a random pattern. And he did, and he picked out this one, Snooty Parrots. So I decided to get it back out and work on it just a tiny bit. And I finished the woman next to the little girl and the tree there. And that little bunny. So that's going to be in the hill. This is a really fun sampler. Not a reproduction. Just kind of made to look like a reproduction. And I'm using silk threads. These are still in the baggies. A variety of silk threads. My friend Carrie, hey Carrie, I miss you. She did a conversion and I borrowed some of the colors from her conversion. But uses Sister Scarlet, which is one of my favorites. From Belle Soie, the older, where'd it go? The older dye lot. So pretty. So when I went up to stitch and frame, I picked up a couple things. I got this bouquet 1813 kit by Samplers Not Forgotten. And if you follow Faye Rigsby, Carolina Stitcher on Instagram, she finished this recently for a customer. And it is so pretty. This picture doesn't do it justice. So once I saw, and it was funny because I saw her picture right before I went into the shop and they had it, so I grabbed it. So that's gonna be a fun one. I don't know why my nose is itchy. And then, so I needed another thread for this. This is Mary Cook 1795 by the Scarlet House. I showed this last time. And I was trying to decide between vintage exemplar. See, this is a good example. Let me show you. Hold on. Where'd it go now? This is what vintage exemplar normally looks like. Kind of the same tint, but this is much lighter. So this is why I think it's closer to sand dune. So I got a piece of vintage exemplar to maybe stitch this on. Not this. Mary Cook. And this is the parchment I got at Sassy Jack's, which I was also leaning towards. But I think these colors would look really pretty on here. I think they would really pop. So it calls for vintage pecan butter, which is lighter. It's a lot lighter than exemplar, but I still think this would be pretty. And this is the parchment, which it would also be pretty on there, but now I'm thinking of using this for something else. So I think I'll stick with this. So I got the linen and that kit and a thread. I got some more weathered vine for this. And this also calls for wheatgrass. Just, I think I'm going to use this MPI. It's like a light green. I think it'll be pretty. So, Hands Across the Sea, they have been coming out with some really beautiful patterns lately. So I couldn't resist getting Ann Roberts, 1842. I think this is such a cool design. I love the border. That's so neat. And there's going to be a stitch along in 2020 for this. So it calls for 46, or they use 46 count straw, and Sassy Jack's recommended 46 count parchment, which I already had from them. So I got this when I was up there. Perfect size. And they were offering a set of the Aversois threads. It's I don't know how you'd say it, 103, I guess, 100 over 3. I don't know, but so I got this yesterday, and I went ahead and I ordered the pattern from Fire Poppies because I really am trying to support them as much as possible, but I really wanted to try these threads. So I got a tiny little start. I wanted to try it out. So that's all I got done yesterday. And I found on this 46 count that these John James needles work really well, and they are size 10. They're a ballpoint bead needle. So these are good for over 1, and they're really good for this 46 count linen. So I was testing it out last night because I love Bowen's size 28s, but these actually were working really well with the tighter linen. So and here's a little, and it just comes off the spool. It's very fine. So that's been fun to try out. So, and speaking of Hands Across the Sea, they're coming out with a couple new patterns, and I love the one with the bird. I'll insert a picture here. And I think that's what I'm going to use this 40 count parchment for. This is the Zweigart base 40 count parchment. So I think this is a big enough piece to do that, and I'll probably get the silks, the Soie d'Alger silks for it, maybe for Christmas. So that's gonna be like Merry Christmas to me. So I think that's it for stitching. I'll show a little knitting. So I had been working on my exploration station number 2. This is the second one, and I'm right in the middle of the row. So, and I'm still kind of on the fence about these colors. I don't know why. I'm sure once it's done, it's gonna be pretty, and once it's all wrapped around, it's, I don't know. I don't know if it's because the gray is kind of, I wish I had gone with the darker gray, I think. But I think I'm just gonna stick with it, keep going. It's a mess right now. I'm using mainly Malbrigo Machida, and one Dream in Color Jelly. So it's kind of on hold right now. My sock, I got this yarn in New York City, and it's the Yoshi and Lucy yarn. And I actually ended up starting over. I don't know if you can tell, there's a little pattern. It's a little cable pattern. It just adds a little bit of interest. Because if I'm working on just a plain vanilla sock, I kind of get bored easily. So giving this a little pattern makes it go by so much faster. And these are my ChowGoo size 2.25 millimeter US ones. So I'm really liking that. I'm loving that little pattern in there. And I love this yarn. It's got a little stellina in it. I don't know if you can see a little sparkle. So it's a lot of fun. And this is in my New York bag. And then I've really been thinking of doing just a plain pink shawl. And I kind of have one in mind. And I will insert a picture of that here. I think it'll be really pretty with this Madeline Tosh twist light. And then finally, it's gotten colder here. And since I'll be going up to DC, where it's much colder, I've been thinking of knitting a sweater. So this yarn is called, I think it's Lopi, and it's made in Iceland. And I'm kind of making a mess here. But it's not really spun. It pulls apart very easily, so it's not twisted. You have to be very careful with it, but there's a beautiful sweater I'm thinking of knitting with it, and I'll insert a picture of that here. It's so pretty. It's a top-down color work sweater. I don't know how this will feel. It feels okay, maybe a little itchy. I probably have to wear something under it, but I got this a while ago, and I ordered it from Iceland, and it didn't take long to get here, so that's kind of fun. And it smells very sheepy, so Ginger wouldn't stay away from it. In fact, she was licking this. And then a little yarn stash. I got these cute sock yarns from Joann's. I'm always checking out their sock yarns to see if they have anything new, and surprisingly one day they did. And this is Mani Pedi by Lion Brand. So I got 2 different colorways. So that'll be fun. And so I think that might be it. I'm hoping, like I said, to get up to DC. I would love to go to In Stitches, great shop. I'd also like to get to Fiberspace in Alexandria. In Stitches is also in Alexandria. My husband is in Arlington, right across the river from DC, so right near Metro Station, so we'll be able to go everywhere except In Stitches. We'll have to take a car to go to In Stitches. There's another yarn shop I just discovered in DC. I think it's called Looped Yarn Works, so I'd like to visit that. That's about it. We're going to be going, my dad's coming next weekend. We're going to Florida for Thanksgiving, and then I hope to get up there in December. So I guess that's it. I will talk to you guys later. See you on Instagram, and hope you have a good month. I'll probably be another month until I can do a video. Talk to you later. Bye.